On the game itself tomorrow night, Mick, was there any clue about the team that he's going to put out there? I mean, you said it yourself a little bit earlier on. This game is maybe a wee bit of a distraction. I think, if he was completely 100% honest privately, Martin O'Neill, I would bet that he probably doesn't want to have this game. But will it be what sort of team will he put out?
I think he's kind of wrestling a bit of dilemma. I mean, I think he could do without this game at this point in time. I don't think Celtic are equipped really to be fighting on this front at the time, which is probably a bit of a kind of a shame in some ways for Celtic, because I think on a good season, if they found themselves in this competition at this stage, they might think, like, if this had happened 12 months ago, we went to Bayern Munich, I think you'd be thinking, if they were in this competition, think maybe a chance to get to the quarterfinals, semi-finals, a few exciting nights at Celtic Park. Whereas this season, they're not really equipped for it. They're just not really. The bigger games in the home front, well or not, that's a bit of indictment of where they've been this season, really. But they can't. It's a bit of a hindrance, I think. But then again, Martin O'Neill's own kind of pride and desire to do well in Europe kicks in. So again, a bit like what I'm saying about the answer to the question. You ask a question, you could do it this, and you go, yeah, we're not really equipped. I don't think we're going to win it. It's a long way to Istanbul, and it's a lot of games. Then he goes like, but we're here now, and no point wasting what we've done. And you can see him fighting with it all the time. So I think he wants to go and put on a show. I think he might think that if he gets a performance against Stuttgart or two legs that are a good standard, maybe if they do go out, it's no big disaster. But it can build a bit of confidence and momentum to take into the domestic football. I think that might be the best case scenario for him. I think narrowly going out over these two legs, but put up a good show.
I think he's wrestling with himself, Mick, a little bit with this one, because I can see both sides of it. I think you're absolutely right. He's got too much professional pride to just think, well, I'm not interested. Europe was always the sort of a place where he liked to measure his progress, Celtic's progress. He's here. They've got a shot, and I don't think he's going to throw that away. I also think he has to balance that off against what he doesn't want to do is send out a team that's not strong enough to survive in a home leg against Stuttgart and gets blown away. And Celtic haven't been particularly impressive playing his first choice 11 in domestic scenarios recently. So how does he then think, with one eye in the weekend, send out a slightly weakened team when his full strength teams have been struggling to cut it domestically? I think there's so many curious kind of questions about this. I wonder if he might just find it simpler to go with strongest 11 and hope that it's good enough to keep them in the tie, and hope that he then has enough fresh fit bodies for the weekend. But I don't know if that's too much of a gamble. That's why I find this one so hard to predict in terms of what Martin O'Neill does. I
think he's wrestling over the same points. I think he doesn't want his team to get thumped. He doesn't want, I mean, that's a dilemma as well. You put a full strength team, then they get thumped, and you've got must have seen how those results can feed
does even more damage to morale.
And so does he put out a weakened team, and if they do get thumped, we can write it off as a kind of second string. But then you're limited. He's only made 3 changes. He can only make 3 changes from the squad for Christmas anyway, so he's not really got that many options as such. But does he try and get guys like Paulo Bernardo to play himself into form? Does he play Junior Adamu and try and get him up and running after getting the hook at the weekend? These are kind of, I mean, obviously Mavuka's not in the group, I don't think. Oxlade-Chamberlain obviously isn't in it either, which is maybe not a bad thing. After playing 45 minutes, he can get a week of his feet up and get ready for the weekend. Does he play Rio Hatate and try and get him finding a bit of form from somewhere? These are all things that I think he will be weighing in his mind overnight tonight as he picks his team. I think it's he's got a few dilemmas, hasn't he?
See as well on that. I mean, I don't know if this is just me, but I think it's winning a wee bit under the radar just how good this Stuttgart team is. I mean, I think everyone knows it's a top team, it's a Bundesliga team. But I was watching clips and reading about them the other night. They've got the golden boy, Sebastian Hoeness, as manager, who's the next big up-and-coming thing, won the German Cup with him. I mean, Dennis Undav, Stiller in midfield, who's been linked with Real Madrid and Man U, and Demovic has got 16 goals. I think this, if Celtic do weaken their team, they could get a sore one.
Aye, they're banging form as well, aren't they? I mean, they're up to 4th in the Bundesliga, and they're rising. They look a cert to get a Champions League spot. I think they'll be even thinking about winning this tournament.
I agree.
That'll be firmly in their minds as well. I mean, I know it's a long way from the final at this point in time. It's the last 24 playoff? We call it last 24.
One this year in the last 16.
It's this new format. I think they'll be fancy their chances of going well away and win this thing. There's some big hitters in the tournament still, obviously, but they're one of them. Yeah. I think it's a really tough tie for Celtic. I just think in their current state, listen, you've got to be realistic. They've just scraped past 3 of the bottom 5 teams in the Premier League in the last week, even the last minute winners.
When you put it like that.
Yeah, and they're still missing big. I mean, people forget they're missing their big performers this season. In Cameron Carter-Vickers, Arthur Johnson, Jota, they're 3 first names in the team sheet in Europe, especially. Huge miss this season. A lot of new.
So what do you do, Mick? I'm making you Martin O'Neill. Now I'm going to say to you, if you've got a choice, there are key performers that potentially could do with a night off. I'm thinking about your Callum McGregors, for example. Can you even contemplate sending Celtic out into a game like this without the captain? Is there anybody else in that team that you think we can take him out the firing line? We can, even if it means a slight downgrade, it's worth doing because of the context of the domestic competition.
Yeah.
What do you do if you were having to pick that 11?
To be honest with you, I wrote a few weeks ago that Celtic can almost kind of write off Europe and just put out the kind of a shadow team and go for it. But the closer these games get, you want to see Scottish teams doing well in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually don't think Celtic are cut to go all the way to the latter stages of this competition, semi-finals and finals. I just don't, right? But you never know. And if they can get a result and then if they somehow get through the tie, then you're in the last 16, then you get another tie, and you think, I just think it'd be a waste opportunity now to get abandoned Europe. Listen, Celtic have won 13 out of 14 or 14 out of 15, whatever it is, Premier League titles, right? Many European finals they've been to. I mean, the last time they got to the European final was hailed as a great season. Didn't win the league that year. People forget they won the league 2003 under Martin O'Neill. Didn't win a trophy that year.
But if you're realistic at the same time, Mick, you look at the squad that they're currently working with and the squad that previously got to a European final, and there is no comparison. So if you're being realistic about it, you assess this current group and you say they're not going to get to a final.
We're not the risk and probabilities here. You think you have to prioritise at some point. I think you've got to prioritise the domestic league now at this point in time. Because the Champions League is there as well.
I would throw the caveat in though that European final would be unbelievable. Last time Celtic won a European knockout tie though was 20 odd years ago against Barcelona. I mean, forget the final, just get through into the odd tie. Do you know what I mean? It's been that long.
Aye. Think of the poor coefficient. I mean, poor coefficient team.
Exactly,
it's taking a pounding, man.
Absolutely thumped about the place. Picked like a cracky. Could we do with some points for the greater good of the nation going forward? I get the point. I don't know the answer to that either. That's why I don't think Martin O'Neill does at this point in time.
Mick, before we let you get up the road and get out the freezer, what's your prediction?
Maybe he'll make his mind up. Maybe he'll make his mind up tonight in his bed when he's visited by the ghost of Gannon at the end of the bed. The thought of any more European trips with this man cutting about, nah, it's all over.
That's a night on the ghost train, that one, isn't it?
That's it. How do you think it'll go tomorrow night, Mick? What do you think the score will be?
I think Stuttgart will be too strong. I think this Celtic team, when you put them under pressure, they can get a bit flaky. Question marks in the middle of the park. I think Engels a big miss. I think he's bigger a miss. He's more missed when people don't see him in there. Maybe taking for granted a wee bit at times. I think Stuttgart will get the players that can exploit that. I think so they'll put up a fight. I think it'll be a decent enough game. I think they'll probably get down 2-1 maybe, which wouldn't be a bad idea. Wouldn't be a bad situation really. I think the tie should be alive going to Germany next week. Maybe a narrow defeat. Because I think some of you got to remember some of the performances in Europe this year have surprised people. I mean, going to Feyenoord and winning so comfortably was a surprise. The Bologna performance was a bit of a surprise at times. Holding on with 10 men for so long. Utrecht first half, they were the goods have been all season. I think that's when Martin O'Neill realised at half time, by the way, boys, we're going to qualify here. We're going to chance you could just chance you could hit reverse. So there have been some proper good performances. Even before that, I just think I think it might be a tall order, this one.
Give us a score, Mick. What do you think?
2-1 to Stuttgart, I think. It gives them a fighting chance going to Germany next week to keep it alive.
Aye. Mick, it's always an absolute pleasure having you in the Hotline Live. Safe travels up the road, and I guess we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, no worries. I'll go and get my jammies on to go and pester Martin O'Neill. He's telling me to eat on.
Nice one. Thanks very much, Mick.
See you later, guys.
See you soon.
See you, mate.
The star of the Hotline, Keith Michael Gannon. He's his cachet rises every time he's on the show now, I feel like.
Yeah, and especially when you try and consider him in a green and white onesie.
Let me run through a few more comments that we've had. George says, rest players, we won't win the trophy and it will cost us the league. I think we are too weak in the league. Rangers have dynamism in midfield. We don't. Burnsy says, Stuttgart are a tidy side but beatable. Not any of our teams do well enough in Europe to even consider thinking of just dismissing Europe. We go and give our best. McKenna says, McKenna says, don't think there's any question. Celtic must go with the strongest team. Chick's very confident. He says, get by Stuttgart. We'll do Porto and Forest on the way to the final. Marzuno says, he rested these players against Kilmarnock. That didn't go too well in the first half. Singing the Blues says, I hope Celtic come through unscathed. I don't want any excuse for them scudded them at Ibrox. So there you go. That's nice camaraderie there between Old Firm fans.